tick the coins you need to make £3.17. So let's start by ticking the highest value coins first. We can have £1, another pound will take us to £2, then 50 pence will take us to £2.50, and another 50 pence will take us to £3, because £2.50 plus 50 pence is £3. Then we can tick the 10 pence to take us to £3.10, but we don't want to tick the other 10 pence because that would take us to £3.20, and that would be too much. So we can tick the 5 pence to take us to £3.15, and then tick both of the 1 pence coins because that gives us £3.17 altogether. Here is a diagram for rounding numbers to the nearest 10. Write these numbers in the correct boxes. One has been done for you. So 61 rounds to 60, not to 50. And now we have 48. So to round to the nearest 10, we can find the tens digit and then look at the ones digit. And if we have 5 or more, we round up. So that means the 4 becomes a 5, so 48 rounds to 50. It's closer to 50 than it is to 40. Now we have 59, so because we have a 9 in our ones, we're rounding up. So that means the tens digit increases by 1, so this 5 becomes a 6, meaning that 59 rounds to 60. And that makes sense because the number 59 is closer to 60 than it is to 50. And now with 52, we have 2 in our ones, and if we have 4 or less, we round down. Now when we round down, the tens digit, or the digit that we've circled, stays the same. So this 5 will stay a 5, meaning that 52 rounds to 50. It's closer to 50 than it is to 60, so that's why we round down. Holly made a number using these digit cards. The hundreds digit is greater than 4. Holly's number is odd. What number did Holly make? So if the hundreds digit is greater than 4, we can't use 4 for the hundreds digit. We'll need to use either the 8 or the 5. But we know that Holly's number is odd, and an odd number has to have a ones digit of 1, 3, 5, 7 or 9, because an odd number is not an even number. But the only odd digit that we have here is the 5, so that means to make the number odd, we need to use the 5 as our ones digit, which means the 8 has to be our hundreds digit, because the hundreds digit has to be greater than 4. So that means 4 must be the tens digit to give us the number 845. Here is a diagram for sorting shapes. One of the shapes is in the wrong place. Put a cross on it. So we have circles for has 3 sides and has a right angle. So we can see that all of the shapes within this circle have 3 sides, and all of the shapes outside the circle, so this hexagon and these 2 quadrilaterals, these 2 4-sided shapes, are outside the circle for has 3 sides. Now this circle is for shapes that have a right angle. So remember, a right angle is like the corner of a piece of paper or the corner of this screen. So we have a right angle here in this shape, we have a right angle here in this shape, but this shape here doesn't have any right angles. The angles at the top and bottom are smaller than a right angle, so they're acute angles, and the 2 angles at the sides are larger than a right angle, so they're obtuse angles. So the shape that's in the wrong place is this shape here. It should be outside of both circles because it doesn't have 3 sides, but also it doesn't have a right angle. So this shape should be outside of both circles. Here is part of a number line. Write in the missing number. So we have 0 and 1 marked on our number line. And to get from 0 to 1, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines. So that means each of these little lines is 1/10. And because the arrow is pointing to the 6th line after 0, that's pointing to 6/10, which we could write as a decimal 0.6, because the first digit after the decimal point always tells us how many tenths we have. So we just need to write the number, and it doesn't say whether we write it as a fraction or a decimal, so we can write either. We can either give our answer as 6/10 or as 0.6, because they're just different ways of writing the same number. Look at this shape. Tick each angle that is less than a right angle. So remember, a right angle is like the corner of a piece of paper. So we could imagine lining up the corner of a piece of paper with these angles in this shape. So our two angles that are less than a right angle are these angles here. Because if we lined up the corner of a piece of paper, this angle would be less, and so would this angle. But these three angles would be more than a right angle, not less, because if we lined up the corner of a piece of paper with these three angles here, we can see that these angles are larger. So these angles are obtuse angles. Write these numbers in order, starting with the smallest. So we can see that all of our fractions have a denominator of 7. And when fractions have the same denominator, we can compare them just by looking at the numerator. So our smallest numerator is 2, so that means the smallest fraction is 2/7. Then we have 3/7, then 5/7, and our largest fraction is 6/7. And if we show the fraction bar for each fraction, we can see that they've all been split into the same number of pieces. They've all been split into 7 pieces because the denominator of all of the fractions is 7. And then we can see that the numerator tells us how many pieces we have. Put in the missing numbers. So first, we need to think of 3 numbers that give a total of 54. So we could have 50, 3, and 1, because 50 plus 3 is 53, plus 1 makes 54. But there are lots of possible answers for this question, as long as your 3 numbers add up to 54. Now put in the missing signs. We have 38, 10, and 28. So we could have 38 minus 10 is 28, so we could have minus and equals. Or we could have 38 equals 10 plus 28, because 10 plus 28 makes 38, and it doesn't matter whether the equal sign is at the start or at the end of a calculation, we do the same thing. Write these numbers in order. We have 108, 91, 121, 89, and 98. So we can compare numbers by looking at the largest place value first, and we can see that we have 2 numbers with 1 in the hundreds, and then our other 3 numbers are only 2-digit numbers. They don't have a hundreds digit, so one of our 2-digit numbers will be smallest. To see which, we can compare the tens digits. Here we have 9, here we have 8, and here we have 9. So that means this number with only 8 tens is our smallest number, so that's 89. And then we have 91 and 98. 98 is larger than 91 because though they both have 9 tens, 98 has more ones. So then we have 2 numbers which both have 1 as the hundreds digit, but when we look across to the tens, we can see that this number has 0 and this number has 2. So that means 108 is next, and then our largest number is 121. Write in the missing number on this number line. So we can see that we have 10, 10.2 and 10.4 marked on our number line. But because we've got a whole number as well as decimals, what we can do is write a 0.0 on the end of our whole number, because 10.0 is the same as 10. So we haven't changed the value of the number, because all the 0.0 tells us is that we don't have any extra tenths. But putting a 0.0 on the end makes it easier for us to understand how this number line works. So between 10.0 and 10.2, we will have 10.1, and here we will have 10.3. So our number line is going up in tenths, and that means this line here will be 1/10 less than 10, or 1/10 less than 10.0. So that will be 9.9. Just as 99 is 1 less than 100, 9.9 is 1/10 less than 10, because 10 is the same as 10.0. So that means if we go back another tenth, we have 9.8 in this box here. Grace says, on my clock face, the big hand is on the 4 and the little hand is between the 8 and the 9. What is the time on Grace's clock face? So we can imagine or draw a clock, and we know that the big hand or the longer hand is on the 4 and the little hand is between 8 and 9. So remember, the shorter hand or the little hand is the hour hand. So because it's between 8 and 9, that means the number of hours is 8. The number of hours won't be 9 until the little hand or the short hand is on or has gone past 9. So the number of hours is 8. And then we can remember that the longer hand, if it's on the 4, we multiply that by 5. And 4 times 5 is 20. So the number of hours is 8 and the number of minutes is 20, because we multiply the minute hand by 5. So that means the time is 8:20. Circle the number that is about the same as the correct answer to 49 plus 48. Do not work out the exact answer. So we can estimate the answer by rounding, and if we round both of these numbers to the nearest 10, 49 plus 48 rounds to 50 plus 50, because both of these numbers are closer to 50 than they are to 40. And 50 plus 50 is 100. So that means the answer to 49 plus 48 will be about the same as 100. We can expect the answer to be just slightly less than 100 because we rounded both of these numbers up.